Or not? Oh wow. Alright, Fern. What? What? Perv? Himmel the hero is not a real hero because he pulled out the hero's blade. Instead, he's a real hero because of his undeterred commitment to saving the world, his undeterred smile, his lack of discouragement, his optimistic outcome, his positivity, his genuineness. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated psychotherapist. In episode 12, I'll break down the nature of heroism, what makes a hero, the weight of unprocessed memories, how hero worship can lead to self-doubt, and what psychological characteristics truly made Himmel the hero that saved the world. A major shout out to our patron family for the generous support, and also thank you to all the viewers that taught me about the German origins of the names in Frieren. Like Himmel the hero means the sky, Frieren means froze or freeze, which really does add even additional layer of symbolic meaning and representations and greatness to this masterpiece. So keep engaging with us and teach me the things I didn't know about this masterpiece. Let's tune in. A true hero. What constitutes true? 29 years after Himmel's death. And I know that all the timeline here is based on Frieren's timeline, her perceptions, her reality after Himmel, the hero's passing. Because Himmel hero's death is probably the single-handedly the most important event that happened in Frieren's world. That's what all of the timeline is based upon Himmel hero's death.
Oh yeah. My hands are free. I'll just hold her.
Oh, sorry, y'all. I didn't realize this was in dub. Let me change this back to sub, of course. Nothing against dub, but I'm all the way above sub. Anyone else? Who here enjoys dub over sub? Or most of you guys, the fact that you're watching this means you're sub nation. But sorry about the not change the audio. Wow, Fern is like, nah, bro, you're gonna faint again. Or is that Fern's longing to protect Frieren at all costs? Because Frieren is Fern's surrogate mother. Wait, 10 copper for defeating the Demon King? Hold up, what? Oh, it's when they picked up the quest because most parties have failed. I see. So this is pre-defeating the Demon King. For a future hero. Haha, hi Tur, the lay bishop. Deep. Quick pause in this obviously very wholesome flashback. Do you notice in episode 12, per usual with every episode of Frieren, that we're starting with Frieren's flashback and memory recall about Himmel the hero. But here, I think this is a little bit more significant than her usual flashback because as we saw right before this, Frieren passed away. I don't know if she fainted because of the cold or she just fell asleep because, as we know, nothing she loves more than Himmel the hero is sleep. Got him. So we don't know if Frieren simply fell asleep because of her emotional exhaustion, physical exhaustion, or she fainted because the hardships of the snow and winter condition, which as I talked about in episode 11, notice here, this flashback and memory recall takes place in seemingly spring or summer with the greenery, the trees, the vibrancy. But I do think it's very significant here that in episode 12, we're starting with yet another flashback about Himmel the hero and Hero's party while Frieren is passed away. Because again, what did I say in episode 11? If you haven't seen it, check it out in the link below. Is winter symbolizes her emotional suppression, her avoidance coping, her avoidance tendency. Just like her conversation with Kraft the monk, it was brief but very powerful. That her disclosure about, oh, I don't need to believe in goddess because someone already praised me, but I can't cherish Himmel the hero. Why? Because Himmel the hero is already in heaven, aka he died. And think about the emotional heaviness of what Frieren's memory and what she was saying. The heaviness of Frieren's memory callback and the sombering nature of what she was saying, that the only one that praised me is no more and no longer. And I can't cherish this friend, Himmel the hero, because he's already in heaven, aka he died. Contrast that by Frieren's seemingly aloof, right? Very monotones, seemingly not a big deal responses. That is emotional suppression at its finest. That is her avoidance coping. That's why she didn't want to open up and have a further dialogue with Kraft the monk in episode 11. But what do we see in the beginning of episode 12? All the emotional suppression, all this avoidance, all these floodgates of emotions that Frieren has been suppressing and pushing down. There is a cost. It does take an emotional, physiological, and psychological toll on Frieren. I don't care if she's an elf. I don't care her biological systems is a lot better than humans. There is a cost to emotional suppression. Think about compartmentalization, right? A lot of, especially guys say this a lot. My guy clients or even my friends, they're like, oh, I'm so good at compartmentalizing my emotions. Or when I'm at work, I don't really think about the stresses at home. I'm very good at compartmentalization. People say that as like a chip, as like an honorable thing. So let's dissect that very quickly. What do compartments comprise of? Like different drawers, right? Different compartments. You file different cabinets, different documentations, different papers. But what is the one thing that we know about compartments? Different drawers. There is a limit. There's a ceiling cap. And what happens when you shove enough papers and documents in these compartments? It gets overfilled. And to a point, the drawers will collapse and you can't even open the drawers properly because it's stuck. Because it's overfilling by paper and different documents that you've been compartmentalizing. So think about it this way. If physical objects like compartments, which is the root word of compartmentalization, definition right here, that a lot of us talk about, there is a limit to that. Just like we can only shove away and suppress and I guess avoid our emotions for so long, but it's like a floodgate. It will eventually break and leak and spill over like a volcanic eruption. A volcano mountains, it's in a dormant stage with volcano for a long time. But eventually there will be an eruption like Hawaii and Peru in the last few years. There will eventually be a volcanic eruption. There will eventually be a floodgate of all of your suppressed and accumulative stress and accumulative emotions you've been suppressing or trying to run away from. And I think right here, that's what we are seeing as viewers through episode 12's beginning. That Frieren's countless years, to be exact, 28 or 29 years of suppressing her emotions, her grief, her longing and regrets of not getting to know Himmel the hero or cherishing Himmel the hero and the memories they spent better. And that's why there's so many flashbacks. And that's why all of the memory recall based on Frieren is exclusively centered around Himmel the hero, with some sparing moments with Heiter the bishop, Eisen the warrior. But as we all saw, ultimately, these proxy memory recall ultimately comes back to Himmel the hero. That is her grief, her depression, her unprocessed emotions leaking through memories, and even now, while she's passed out. Very, very deep.
あんなことを言っていたハイターは今やの僧侶だ。
本物ですよ。
Haicher doesn't deny he's drinking, but of course he defends his faith as a real priest. And we know. Wow, look at Himmel, the hero smile. That genuineness, that gentle nature. And with that Himmel, the hero's flashback and gentle, contagious smile, Frieren wakes back up.
この光景既視感がある。まだ夢の中だね。
だといいんだけどな。
山の天気を甘く見すぎた。このまま北に進んで目的地の集落。
North, just like last episode.
フリーレン様、自力で歩けますか？
The winter in the northern lands.
無理。そうですか。いい匂い。
さすがに運びっぱなしで疲れただろう。フェルン、変わるぜ。
Stork's like, hand it off like a baton. Fern's like, fine. Or not. Oh, wow. All right, Fern. What? What? Perv? Yeah, how though? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Why do you think that Fern is so relentlessly saying no to Stark's request of handing off Frieren so Fern can take a rest and Stark instead can carry Frieren? Because can you imagine walking with another person on your back in that little clothing in this crazy stormy weather, walking in the snow? Walking in the snow is very tiring, just like walking or running in the sand. It's not a flat surface. There's a lot of like inertia needed, a lot of momentum, opposite force, thermodynamics, right? So it's exhausting physically and emotionally and mentally. So why is Fern saying no to Stark's request? I know she's like, no, you perv. I'm sure that's like a joke or Fern's like clapback style, as we're pretty accustomed to at this point. But why is she saying no? Is it because Fern is also raised and taught to be hyper independent and not seek help? Just like Frieren is also someone who's extremely hyper independent, who never sought help before meeting Himmel the hero and his party. But even then, she was extremely aloof, emotionally disconnected, and hyper independent. And her and Frieren's emotional and personal development were not evident and apparent until years after Himmel's death, as we've witnessing through her beautiful journey. So do you think it's Fern's conditioning and how she was raised by Frieren? How, of course, her PTSD trauma because she's an orphan, right? Broken family. Same for Frieren, another orphan, before Flamme the hero saved her from the village that was slaughtered by demons. Is it because they're mirroring their similarities and the parallels between Fern's hyper-independence as a result of trauma and parentification, just like Frieren's hyper-independence and also parentification because of her own trauma? Is that why Fern's saying no? Or is genuinely Fern because Fern doesn't want Stark to touch Frieren, which doesn't really make sense, right? Because Frieren is like thousands of years old, like a granny that looks really young. So what are your thoughts below? Why is Fern saying no to Stark repeatedly in this exhausting snow?
凍え死ぬかと思った。
I'm glad Frieren woke up at least.
本当にこんな山奥に集落があるんだな。
お待ちしておりました。
Wait, what?
フリーレン様。
Who is this?
49代目です。世襲なもので。
I'm the 49. Why? Was that girl trying to tiptoe?
壊れた小屋があったね。昔使われていたし。この山にそんなのいたっけ？
ここが剣の里か。
hero.
の近くの聖域には女神様が
That's the blade that Himmel the hero picked up?
どんな英雄たちが引き抜こうと
Yo,
して
it's
も
like that's like Solomon's sword. Wow, a hero's blade, literally.
勇者の剣を引き抜けるのはこの世界を滅ぼす王
Himmel the hero, and Frieren was part of that.
ヒンメル様なのですね。
そうだぜ
Wow.
ハイター様からは何も。
And Frieren never mentioned it, again, because of her unprocessed grief, her sadness, the weight of her memories.
ありますよフリーレン様半世紀後にまた来てもらう約束だったのに
Half a century.
様の遺言です
私は80年後でも大丈夫だと言ったんだけどね。
80 years. Her great-grandmother.
ちゃんとお役目を果たしてもらわないと
お役目って何ですか？魔物退治だよ。
Hmm.
特に最近は山の主が暴れて大変だったんですから
King of the mountain. That must be the monster.
面倒事は早い方がいい。
Before the fight scenes, because we know fight scenes are few and far between. So I cherish every fight scenes there is in this masterpiece. Another question for you guys. I would love to hear your thoughts below. How many of you guys think that Frieren not visiting this village that guards Hero's Blade for the last 80 years versus the promised once in half a century, which is 50 years? Because she genuinely doesn't think it's a big deal. She thinks additional 30 years is fine. She will eventually come back and exterminate the monsters or King of the Mountains, whatever that monster that is. Or, here's my speculation. I think that Frieren is avoiding, again, her avoidance tendency that I talked about in episode 11 and also in this episode continues so. I think that Frieren is avoiding her emotions. She is avoiding her grief because the thing about unprocessed grief is when you revisit a place, remember the grief counseling I talked about throughout this series as part of my analysis? Part of grief counseling is revisiting the old places, people, smell, taste, or objects to memorialize the deceased ones. So that's part of grief counseling, which means once you've processed and grieved in a healthy manner, the smell, the taste, the old places, the old people, the photographies, those things will be healing. It actually helps you heal because you're processing and you're working on your emotions. However, contrast to that is if you have unprocessed emotions, unprocessed grief, visiting those same things, it actually be triggering instead. What makes you sad, makes you trigger, have flashbacks about involuntary memories that only brings you down. And I think Frieren knows that at this point, that because she hasn't fully processed her grief and emotions, she doesn't want to revisit this place. She doesn't want to come back in 50 years, but rather 80 years, which is what they just did now. Because she's not ready emotionally and mentally to confront and face her unprocessed grief and emotions. So that's my guess. I think that she's running away and trying to avoid the reality and the pain of her weighted memories. But what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with my hypothesis? Or do you guys think that she just didn't think it was a big deal and it's truly as innocent as she said? But I don't think so, because even her face when she was saying that seems very somber and very deep. Let's go, fight scenes. Ooh, yeah, dang. Dude, Fern, wow. Dude, Fern could kill. Oh, that was Fern or Frieren?
里が近いってのに魔物だらけだな
こんな状況なのにどうして他の冒険者に討伐依頼を出さなかったのですか？
出したいのは山々だったのですが
ヒンメルは英雄だからね。
しかし本当に魔物が多いな。
Himmel was a champion
洞
after
窟の
all.
前に集まっているな。
Nice. Stark has come a long way too. So much more brave, no hesitation. Eisen the warrior will be proud of Stark's growth. So am I. Go Stark. What's inside?
これって。
Oh, that's the king of mountain. Oh shit. It's the king. This fight scene reminds me of solo leveling again. I'm about to watch that after I finish the analysis.
シュタルク、まだ動けるでしょ。
Of course, here comes the block. Let's go, Stark. Yeah.
人使い荒すぎる。
Ooh. Magic barrier. Great work. One shot. That was literally 5
こ
seconds.
れでお役目は終わりだね。
How much mana do you think Frieren used just now? 5%? 1%? 10%? Because we know Frieren constricts and regulates her mana at all times.
フリーレン、こいつはどういうことだ。あれは勇者の剣だ。
魔物が集まっていたのはこいつのせいだよ。
Oh.
聖域は強力な結界で入れないのに、魔物
Why?
はそれを
What?
破壊する衝動を抑えられない。
Oh,
よっ
the
ぽど勇者の剣
urge.
が怖いんだろうね。
Wow.
そういうことじゃなくて。
It's a magic item.
そうだね。
It's a magical relic, artifact that has tremendous magic power that attracts the monsters, I guess.
ヒンメルはこの剣を抜けなかったんだ。
What?
今回の勇者も本物ではありませんでした。
Wait, what?
いいじゃないか偽物。僕は魔王を倒して世界の平和を取り戻す。
Goosebumps.
偽物だろうが本物だろうが関係ない。
Yo, Himmel is completely undeterred. Wow.
そしてヒンメルはなし。
And then What the
本物の勇者だよ。
That's why Heiter, the lay bishop, and Frieren never talked about the story of Himmel the hero pulling the sword, even though it became a famous story. Because Himmel the hero never actually pulled it off. He couldn't pull out the sword. But that's even more impressive because Himmel the hero was able to defeat the Demon King, save the worlds, fulfill his destination, fulfill his wish in the beginning. And also I just realized all the flashbacks in this show, especially this episode, is a continuation and has a direct impact on the plot developments as the episode unfolds. Because without that 10 copper, without that flashback of Frieren, of Himmel the hero, making that wish, saying that right now it's a fake sword that Heiter gave me, but I want to be a true hero and I'm going to pull out the real true hero's sword, hero's blade, and defeat the Demon King. That was Himmel's initial wish. That was his intention. That was eventually manifested. Of course, as we know, he became Himmel the hero that defeated the Demon King. But now, the reality is he never pulled off the sword, yet he did it anyway. And I think that's the true symbolic meaning of this episode. A true or a real hero. Himmel the hero is not a real hero because he pulled out the hero's blade. Instead, he's a real hero because of his undeterred commitment to saving the world, his undeterred smile, his lack of discouragement, his optimistic outcome, his positivity, his genuineness. Everyday micro actions have massive outcome. That is what I think is the reason why this episode is called a real hero. Not because of the hero's blade, but because of who Himmel the hero really is. His heroic nature, the embodiments, the personifications of what a true heroism represents. That's amazing. And that reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, since a lot of you guys asked me to share more of my quotes, and here it is. Pessimists are often right, but optimists change the world. I'll say it again. Pessimists, people who are pessimistic, are often right, but optimists change the world. Comment below. Are you more of a cup is half full kind of person or cup is half empty kind of a person? Or are you a realist, as some people might say? But that's my guess, and that's my hypothesis of the name of this episode. A real hero. Not because of Hero's Blade, but because who Himmel the hero really is deep inside. Amazing. Wow. This is a crazy development. Did not expect this.
勇者の剣が抜けなかっただなんてかっこ悪いエピソードは英雄には不要で
Wow, this was more for the people's selfish desire.
しても後世の連中は勝手に美化していく
Reality versus expectations. Romanticized, idealized reality versus actual truth.
そしてそのうち原型すらなくなってしまうんだ
Wow. That's a stark contrast, speaking of stark in the frame, between Frieren's true private reality of who Himmel the hero really was, because Frieren knew him dearly, and Himmel the hero is the closest person to Frieren, probably in her long lifespan, based on the entire premise of this show, versus this false, idealized, romanticized, this false ideal, this rumor, this fake facade of what people think and wish Himmel the hero to be, the champion that pull out the hero's blade. That's a facade, that's fake. And anything that's fake, even if it's idealized as a champion, cannot sustain and is not long lasting. Anything that's fake will eventually crumble and topple and get destroyed. And that's what Frieren just said. Because it's a false ideal, it gets distorted and farther away from the truth. We see that contrast between that versus the true private reality and the factual nature of who Himmel the hero really was and is. He is a greater champion and a more real hero. More real. Oh my god. That's why it's called a real hero. The episode, not the true hero. Because I was like, I feel like a true hero would have been a more adequate and a better title for this episode. But that's why it's called a real hero. Because a real hero, per Frieren's true memories and perception and experience, versus the false, fake hero, the champion that pulled out the hero's blade to people's perceptions and false ideal. Damn. I just had a revelation while talking. Crazy. Can Stark pull it out? I will be dead if Stark could pull this out. Who was that flashback of the guy in that burning mountain?
マジ感謝。これもおばあ様の遺言です。
お前のばあちゃんの遺言どうなっているんだよ。
じゃあまた半世紀後に
Half a century.
今度は遅れないでくださいよ。
So the king of the mountain monster must spawn once every 50 years? 29 years after Himmel hero's death.
久々の街だな。羽を伸ばせるぜ。
フリーレン様どうします
I love cabins. Oh, I love mountains and woods.
いいや宿でゆっくり魔導書を読むよそうですか
Frieren is thriving. Frieren is absolutely thriving.
シュタルクの18歳の誕生日だから
Happy birthday, Stark. Happy 18th.
なんでそういうこと事前に教えてくれないんですか私何も準備していませんよこの街で何か買えばいいじゃんシュタルク様の欲しいものがわかりません フェルンは爪が甘い。
Dude, Frieren has so many childlike behaviors like fluster cakes, what children do.
フリーレン様は
And after
何をプレゼン
meeting
トするつもりなんですか？
Kraft the monk, another elf, we finally learned that he's truly of an adult per elf species, and Frieren is like a teenager in the Frieren species lifespan. So that makes sense.
服だけ溶かす薬、男ってのはね、こういうの渡しておけばよろ。
What is that? What is this perverse smile? I'm dead.
何？フェルンも興味ある？この下品な薬、買った時の私、返品しろ。
Yo, Fern is scary.
フリーレン様なんて知りません。この薬、貴重だったのに。
See, jokes aside, do you see how thoughtful Frieren is? And shout out to all the viewers that highlighted all the subtle details I missed since I'm watching this for the first time in one go. Like the grapes that Frieren learns, the spell turning sour grapes into wine, which is a favorite of Aizen the Warrior, as some of you pointed out. All the intricate details and all the thoughtfulness, like another spell that Frieren learned to collect, which is making the bronze a statue shinier. She uses that to clean the statues of Aizen the Warrior, Heitzer the Bishop, Himmel the Hero. So all of her spell collection is not just because of that's what Himmel the Hero praised her and became her sole hobby. Yes, and Frieren is extremely thoughtful. She's very considerate. She's very generous as a person or as an elf. Despite her emotional aloofness and constrictions and her struggle with emotional openness because of her trauma, her orphanage, and her traumatic upbringing, she's amazing. So even now here, we see that Frieren jokes around. She's like, ooh, use this vulgar potion. Men love this. And obviously Fern claps back and pours it on Frieren's head. Yes, Frieren has troll aspect, and she has her comical aspect, which also is another depiction and indication of Frieren's tremendous emotional development. That she's able to have jokes now. She's able to crack jokes, troll Fern. Could any of us imagine this Frieren trolling people in episode 1, 2, or 3? Heck no, dude. It took her quite a bit of time. To be exact, 29 years after Himmel Hero's passing to be able to clap back, jokes, have fun, smile numerous times throughout the episode. She has indeed come a long way. So even her cracking a joke and trolling Fern is another subtle but profound indication of her emotional development, which is amazing. But like I said, she's joking around with Fern. Of course, Fern also claps back, and Fern is like, you're ridiculous. But after Fern closes the door, what does Frieren say? But seriously, what should I buy Stark for a gift? So she's indeed extremely thoughtful, and that's what makes Frieren an amazing mentor, an amazing leader. Despite her flaws and her struggle with emotional growth, she still tries her best. And that is growth mindset, definition right here. And that's all we can ask for in this life. Because life is hard and life is long and short at the same time. Or in Frieren's case, it's infinitely long. So efforts and trying is all that we can do. Trying at the end of the day is all that really matters, because we do not get to control outcome because we are not gods. Amazing. Oh, what is that ring? Frieren's eyes are crazy. So mesmerizing, it like draws you in. Friends waiting
やっぱ
outside.
直接探りを入れるしかないか。絶対バレるだろうけど。
Sound him out. All friends waiting outside of Stark's cabin. Anyone love cabins? I love the nature. I love the woods. Where's Stark? Is he eating shaved ice? Aww. Stark is also a real hero.
ついさ
Dude, Stark is... Yo, Stark is crazy. Dude, what? Stark is a microcosm of Himmel the hero. Stark is a continuation of this untainted real heroism since Himmel the hero's passing. Stark, you a G, bro. You a real G. Wow. Stark, you're amazing. Is this where Fern falls for Stark? Will there be romantic interest between Stark and Fern?
あの雲おっぱいみたいだかよあっちはうんこだ
It does. I'm dead.
こいつガキなんだ。
後でフェルに教えてやろう
リアクションに怖いよ。
Quick pause. You know what this parallels with? Another masterful writing. Shout out to the writers of Frieren. And I cannot wait till season 2 coming out in 2026 since they just made the announcement. Remember that dialogue that happened between Frieren and Himmel the hero and also Aizen the warrior? When Frieren was using magic to change water into shaved ice to Heiter the bishop, and Heiter's like, this is amazing. And Aizen the warrior is like, are you okay with this? Shouldn't you be worried? Even the strongest warrior of the south died fighting the sages. Do you guys remember what Himmel the hero said beautifully? He said, I'd rather have a fun and ridiculous journey because we don't know if we're gonna make it back alive. And life is serious anyhow. Life is already plenty serious, and this conquest, this potential one-way journey to fight the Demon King might end up in the slaughtering and the death of the entire party. We know that's not the case, and they came back triumphantly. But that's what Himmel the hero said. I'd rather be silly, have fun, be ridiculous at times, without disrespecting the seriousness of life and the journey to conquest the Demon King. I want to have fun in this journey of serious life. It's not mutually exclusive. And that's, I think, is what parallels here with Stark. Stark is, after doing so many heroic deeds, saving the cat, helping the old lady push the cart, helping the old grandpa, he literally has been relentless and restless the moment they arrived in the village, helping out so many people, being a good Samaritan, so many good deeds, act of service, act of kindness, self-sacrificial acts, which is what I said, the hallmark of love and heroism. Sacrificing our resources, our time, our efforts, sacrificing our conveniences for the sake of other people, that is the hallmark of love and heroism. And Stark is the perfect embodiment and personification of heroism just now. At the same time, he's having lewd thoughts, looking at clouds that represents boobs and poop. He's so relatable. He's so real. So now I'm thinking, is this episode actually about Himmel the hero being a real hero? Or is this episode about Stark being a real hero? Because real also has multi-layer meaning. Real could also represent realness, relatability. That Stark feels more approachable than Himmel the hero because Himmel the hero has already become myth, a legend. Because it's been 29 years since he passed away after defeating the Demon King. Even more 50 years before that, right? So I wonder if this episode's about Stark, a real hero, or Himmel the hero, the legendary champion. What do you guys think? Or is it both? Comment your thoughts below.
シュタルク様、
フェルンちょうどいいところにあの雲さ
He's so real. I love Stark. Look at those eyes though. Those piercing eyes of Fern. Pierces through your souls.
少し歩きませんか？
Oh, she's trying to sound him out for gifts for his birthday.
なんで怒ってんの？俺なんかした？
どう切り出そうかな。
謝るからさ
どうやったって怪しまれるんだし、もう直球。
I don't think Stark is sharp enough to catch the drift, honestly. I think she could just ask.
何か欲しいものとかありますか？
What? That's too direct.
今日がシュタルク様の誕生日だ。
Oh, wow. All right.
そう
Straight
だ
to the point. Is it?
それと欲しいものに何の関係があるんだ？
シュタルク様の誕生日プレゼントです。
え？何かくれんの？
Stark had no expectations from Fern. I am dead.
いや、ふざけていたわけじゃなくて。
Has he never received a
誕生日
gift?
にプレゼントとかもらったことが
He's
ないか？
never received a gift. Literally just called it. He's never received a present for his birthday.
死んだ故郷の家族からも師匠からももらっ
I mean, as in the warrior was loving, but it's like that Asian tough love mentality.
僕からも
Never shows.
そういった風習だったのですか？
The guy with the red head
単に俺が
was
大事にされていなく
Stark's brother in the flashback earlier in that mountain, like Fire of Mountains.
弱いやつの居場所なんかなかった。
That's bullshit, by the way, right? Showing affection, displaying love, buying gifts for those who you love is not a sign of weakness. Showing vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. Let me tell you guys this real quick to really drive this message home. So many of my male clients, especially veteran clients who served in the military, who are able to stay awake for 4 days, literally exchange fires, like going through crazy bravery stuff. And of course, no one can deny, as a veteran myself, that my veteran clients are extremely courageous. They're willing to give up and sacrifice their lives. They're willing to die for their cause. So they're extremely brave. But do you know how many of my male friends and veteran clients tell me that, oh, I'm never gonna cry. I'm never gonna open up my emotions to you. What, are we just gonna talk about feelings? You're not gonna change my life? I will never display emotions because that means I'm weak. And here's what I say to them, and even to my friends. So let me get this straight. You're saying that if you display your emotions and being emotionally open makes you weak? But the very fact that you're afraid of displaying your emotions, you're afraid of being vulnerable in my session. Isn't that contradictory? Because you just said that if displaying your emotions makes you weak, but you're just telling me now that you're afraid of displaying your emotions. So that means the very fact that you're afraid of opening your emotions and not opening your emotions and suppressing and masking and being emotionally closed off, that actually is the ultimate sign of weakness because you're afraid of being vulnerable. I tell my veteran clients, you can sleep in foxholes, stay awake for 4 days, risking your life when you get deployed, go to Afghanistan and so on. You're not afraid of bullets flying at you. You're not afraid of taking bullets for your battle buddies. You're not afraid of putting up and sacrificing your lives for your country and your fellow servicemen and women. But you're afraid of showing your emotions, and you're afraid of opening yourself up in therapy so that you can get better, so you can be a better husband, better father, better son. Help me understand. And then they're like, holy shit, you're right. I'm not afraid of bullets, but I'm afraid of crying and showing up my emotions. So with that example, I just want to really drive this message home that being vulnerable and our willingness to display vulnerability is the last thing away from being weak. If anything, it's the opposite. It's a strength. It's a sign of courage. It's strength because you're not afraid of being honest with your feelings and your thoughts.
魔物相手に何たるざまだ。シュトルツを見習え。怪我どころか返り血一つ、泥一つさえ跳ねていない。
That must be Stark's brother. Looks pretty OP.
この村最強の戦士の証。シュトルツはこの村の誇りだ。
当然
Toxic masculinity.
それに比べてシュタルク、あいつは失敗作だ。
I disagree. Doing it scared is a sign of courage. Otherwise, you're not just scared. It's easy for you to do.
あまりいじめてやるなよ。俺は先に帰る。
Wow, what a shitty father, dude. What a shitty father. Oh, sign of spotless Clark. He's got mud on it. Oh, dude, he's gonna.
いい集中力だ。お前はきっと強くなる。
Aww.
少し構えが悪いな。
そういえば兄貴だけは違った。
He was a good brother. What is this? The demon?
それた時そんな兄貴も見捨てて逃げちまった。
Because he was scared. Hero's blade. Dude, I think Stark's gonna be able to pull out the hero's blade.
シュタルク
You
様
see that quick glimpse?
プレゼントを選びに行きますよ。一度たりとも逃げ出していま
Amen,
せん。
sister. Amen, sister. Yo, this is crazy that Fern is. Do you see her developments also for Fern's emotional growth? Fern is not only holding space because Stark is grieving, having reminiscence of his past, his regrets, his longing for his brother, because he shows that Stark's father was a horrible, shitty father. Oh, what a disappointment. Don't bully you too much. I don't even want to waste time. I'm going to go ahead. Because Soltz, the Stark's brother, told his father that he's going to teach him a lesson. But he actually meant it. He was giving Stark genuine lessons. Didn't mind when he got mud splashed over him. Great concentration. Amazing praises, encouragement. And he even bent down and got even dirtier on his knees as the greatest warrior of the village to teach, hold Stark's hands, the so-called failure of the village. So Stark's brother was amazing, it seems like. Amazing. I hope he's still alive and we get to see more actions. But anyway, back to Fern. Fern is not only holding space, but also encouraging and praising Stark for saying that, yes, I used to call you a coward. Yes, you used to tremble, but you actually never once ran away. Not against the solar dragon. You stood your ground. Despite being paralyzed in the beginning, you stood your ground. You not only just earned this 30 seconds, you defeated the solar dragon all by yourself. You never ran away from the Lugner, the demon. You never ran away from the fight. You stood your ground and you confronted your face. You confronted your fears head on. That is the sign and the hallmark of a real hero. Shout out to Fern. Her emotional and personal developments also parallels and mirrors that of Frieren. Amazing. Like mentor, like mentee, I guess.
私たちが逃がしません。
Shaved ice?
分かったよ。じゃあこれにしようか
それは
な。
高いからだ。
Yo, Fern. I forgot Fern is the accountant. Oh, they're gonna hold hands? Oh. What is that? Is that foreshadowing of them holding hands in the future?
フリーレン様、何ですか？
Wow,
このバカみたいな
hamburger steak.
ハンバーグは。
何言ってんだよ。誕生日と言ったらこれだろ。
Birthday meal.
師匠もプレゼントはくれなかったけど、誕生日のハンバーグだけは作ってくれたな。
Aizen the warrior did care about Stark deeply, as we know.
シュタルク、アイゼンから聞いてないの？
何が？
戦士ってのは不器用だね。フリーレン様がそれを言うんですか？
I know. You're saying that, Frieren?
も不器用だからわかる。バカだね。
Deep self-awareness,
思
at
いってい
least.
うのは言葉にしないと伝わらないのに。これはね。
Aizen warrior's favorite?
そういえば、誰かの誕生日のたびにバカみたいにでかいハンバーグを作っているけど、これ何なの？
これは俺の地方の風習でな。精一杯頑張った戦士をねぎらうための贈り
Wow.
常備プレゼントみたいなもんだ。
Aizen.
プレゼントみたいなもんだ。
でもアイゼン、僕たちは戦士じゃないぞ。
頑張った者は皆戦士だ。
Exactly right. Everyone giving their best is a warrior.
兄貴
Stark,
何作ってんの
Aizen is not mad at you.
誕生日だろ。
Stark's brother did the same. Dude, Stark's brother is also a real hero.
逃げろ、シュタルク。
He told him to run.
は生きるんだ。
Damn. So many real heroes in this episode. The title is amazing. It's multi-layered. Did he survive? Or no?
どう
Oh, it's a sign. It's a symbol of approval. It's a symbol of acceptance. The birthday steak cake is a symbol of love.
あ
Oh, Frieren smiling too.
あとこれ
The vulgar potion. I'm dead.
リーレン様
あ何それ
下
どういう
エッチ
Perv.
なんで
エッチ
いやだからなんでだって
Wow. The sky again. Right? The episode ends with the sky, which is what? Himmel the hero, the sky. Wow. That was a beautiful, beautiful episode. Wow. All right. So if you found my analysis and reaction helpful as always, please smash that thumbs up and subscribe. You don't want to watch my series on Violet Evergarden, A Silent Voice that I did last week, and so many other great animes that I'll be reacting to. And please share this episode with one friend. Don't you want to bless them and gift them with some deep, never seen psychological analysis of your favorite anime, Frieren Beyond Journey's End? And again, massive shout outs to our Patreon family for your support. And if you feel called to, if you want to show our work with some generous support, please join our Patreon family at Psychotherapist Reacts with the link right here. Your support means the world to us, and we will have never seen before exclusive, awesome content going live once this channel hits 15,000. Hopefully, we'll get there and very, very soon. Till next time, peace.